You need engine data. You need it now, not later. Keep application 2.0.
All right, you little taint ticklers. This one's going to be your special there. It's your holiday event. Thanksgiving Day. I don't know if it'll come out on Thanksgiving. How the hell do I know? Anyway, here's what we're going to be doing. See this fucking van? I love this fucking van. 897,000 miles. For those of you who follow along with rapt attention of my every missive, you'll know that I bought this van in 14. Anyway, who gives a shit? It's got a lot of miles, but it's not the original engine. The engine has 330 on it or something. This is the van that I did the snake oil video about. It has a blown head gasket, and I'm 90% convinced it's the rear one, and head gasket issues. So, what's to know about head gasket issues on your frickin' ProMaster? Well, the thing to know is that following an overheat event is when the head gasket is going to blow. Generally on this vehicle, they do not blow spontaneously. Something makes them blow, kind of like your mom. And that something is heat. And what it will do is either warp the head or warp the block, and then that tears the gasket, and then it's drinking coolant. And more importantly, it's putting exhaust into the coolant bottle as it's drinking the coolant. And as it gets worse and worse, it'll drink more and more. And it also has a misfire. Now, in this van, the symptoms are those: smell of exhaust in the bottle, staining of exhaust in the bottle, drinking coolant rather consistently, and misfiring bad enough to flash the light, which is an active misfire. And the misfires in this particular case are on 1 and 3, which are the 2 cylinders in the back there. So, I'm going to confirm that it has a bad head gasket in the rear when I get the intake off by putting a camera down there and looking to see if the insides of those cylinders are shiny or I actually see water. And, of course, I could put pressure in the bottle artificially and see if it leaks in the cylinder. One of the things that's also steering me in this direction is that after you shut it off is when it drinks the coolant, not while it's running. It's not really actively misfiring when it's running as such. When you shut it down, all the heat goes into the coolant, and that puts the max pressure in the bottle, and that's when it starts leaking in there because there's no cylinder pressure to keep it from out of there. All right. In the past, I have advised customers when they have a blown head gasket that it's certainly something to think about replacing the engine, because we can go in and replace the gasket, but if the head is warped or the block is warped, the gasket's just going to tear or blow, or it's going to happen again, and all that money is wasted. But in this case, I want to see if it's possible. What the big experiment with this particular job is, since I more or less still own this van, is to see if the front cylinder head is not that difficult to do. I've done them before because it's all in the front. You can get to it and so on. The rear cylinder head, by the book method, you have to take the engine cover off. Now, what does that entail? I'll turn on my head torch here. That entails taking the entire front cover off the engine, which is a big, big job in this vehicle. It's up against the frame rail. There's bolts and seals and form a gasket and all this other shit. And I have in the past just been utterly uninterested in attempting it. If to get that cover off, the timing cover is known, with the engine still in the vehicle, it's like that. It doesn't look impossible. And I've talked to a guy who says he does it from the top, but I am not interested in that. The oil pan has to come off too. And all that stuff has to happen while something, because the engine mount comes off, something has to support the van from underneath, meaning you can't get yourself in there and a jack to support the van the engine at the same time. Fuck that noise, I believe Helen Keller was quoted as saying when approached about doing this job herself. But I believe it's possible to take the rear head off and obviously put it back on without taking the engine cover off. And I've seen it done, and I experimented with it on one of these stand engines over here, and we're going to attempt to do that. Unless I'm wrong and the engine cover is easy to take off, or there's some fucking way to do it that can be done, I don't know. But to me, that looks like an engine out job. And once the engine is out, the engines are actually pretty cheap used. And I have been advising customers, just rather than even try and put a head gasket on it, just replace the engine, because you get a lot with a new engine or a new junkyard engine. Whatever. But we're going to find out, and you're going to find out with me. And we're going to share this time together. There'll be cuddling and touching of the tips. There'll be maybe, we might have a meal together. I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's get on it. Not gonna show you everything. I'm gonna undress this girl in the frontal area for the most part, and I'm not gonna show that, but you'll see. You'll see. Did I mention you'll see? All right. All right, Short Muffin, we're doing some diagnostics now. This is the exciting stuff. So what I got here is I got 1 and 3. This code cluster here has been for a long time a 219A, which is a bank code, meaning one bank of cylinders is a little bit fueling differently than the other. But it also has misfires for 1 and 3, 301, 303, and 300 because it's 2 of them. 2 or more will always cause a 300. It doesn't flash the light except when it's very cold and you first start it up. Now, of course, it's losing coolant, and you can see the staining on the inside of the bottle, and the inside of the bottle smells like exhaust. But the point here is that, what's the point? What's my point? Lemon nuggets? What's my point is that what we're going for here is to find coolant in the cylinder. My operating thesis of why this head gasket is blown is that when you run the engine and it gets to a certain temperature and it stays there. When you shut it off, all that heat soaks up into the head because it's higher, and that's where the fire is, and also that's where the water jackets are. So that heat in the water jackets is going to be as hot as it's ever going to be right when you shut off an engine after it's, at full soak and run. And that's when it creates enough pressure in the bottle to bleed back out of the gasket into the cylinder. So what I have done is set up my borescope here into cylinder 1, and I don't know. First of all, I don't know how well this is going to show. It looks to me, it's hard to see, but obviously it looks wet. Oh, son of a cock. Thing shut itself off. Hold on, kids. There you go. Lousy, cheap Japanese borescopes. Okay. My borescope isn't super great. There we go. But you can see it looks wet in there, and more importantly, you can see that it looks like there's different coloration on the surface of the piston than others, meaning that's where the water is dribbling in. If I had a side-firing borescope, I could probably see it. Derek and I just put 50 pounds of pressure in it, in the cooling system, to see if we could make it leak, but I don't really care, because I've taken number 3 plug out, and that's where we're going next, and you're going with me. I have not looked in here yet, but I like to keep you with me. What I'm interested in is seeing any evidence that coolant, at some point, get in the hole. Get in the hole. It's in the hole. Why can't I make this? Sometimes you just push and push and push. Come on. Come on. Dexterity reverse. I'm doing multiple things at once here. I figure you people owe me for this kind of knowledge. Come on. Get in the goddamn hole. Is it me? Is my wire bent? I'm going to work my way all the way around the hole, and I still can't get it to go in. There you go. All right. Similar story to the other. I see that as being wet. I don't quite see it as bad, so if I had to guess. But see that area of the piston that looks clean on the right side on the top of your screen? Oh, I see it sideways. Everything's all fucked up. That to me looks like it's been washed. That's not a look that would happen from something else. Water has been sitting there. So that's confirmation enough for me that what we don't have here is failure to communicate, is a blown head gasket. And who cares? It's going somewhere, and I'm pretty sure that's where it's going. All right, well, let's get on it. While we're here looking, here are the plugs. This is from number 1. It's kind of inconclusive. Ooh, I could take these with me and try my new macro lens. Hey, Milk Muffins, this is my fancy macro lens. Look at that. Looks awful, doesn't it? Well, anyway, should allow you to get right up on this fucker. This is the plug from number 3. Doesn't look particularly washed. The shank of the plug threads are quite oily, but that is probably oil coming down from the threads, coming from the valve cover seal above. Not an uncommon occurrence. This would be cylinder 1. Well, I guess you can't focus it. All right, that didn't work. All right, you've seen the plugs, for God's sake. Jesus Christ, you little milk muffins. All right, kids, we're off for a bit. Now we're back at it. Sorry it's noisy. The heater's running because it's cold and shitty. Anyway, in an attempt to see if we can remove this rear cylinder head without taking the front cover off, I have removed the front grille. I have removed the core support. I have all the intake stuff out of the way, and I have the fresh air intake out of the way and all that. What you don't see, because why would you want to, is that one of the hardest parts about this job was getting the 4 bolts off the catalytic converter in the back and loosening it such that the cat is off the rear of the head. Nothing is attached to the head. In fact, this little connector here, which is a RF suppressor, is really the only thing that might bind me up as it comes out. I want to get my light and show you some things. Look at this fanciness. I've detached the camera from the base, and I've put my light up there. And I can bring my base over here as a monitor and see what the hell I'm showing you. Isn't that exciting? Man, this is the age we live in. Anyway, so we've got the cams out and completely out. And here's where it gets tricky. So I'm going to try and do this without casting a shadow. And then I'm going to go show you on a stand engine what I'm after. So we're going to be after that, if I'm seeing it correctly. See that little Torx bolt there right in the center of your screen? That is one of the guides that is bolted to the head. And the only other thing bolted to the head is this chain guide, which I don't know if you can see, but it slides on a pin, and that pin comes out of the head. That's the hardest part about this. Now what's unfortunate, which I'll show you in a second, is if that guide pops up, then the tensioner below it that's pushing on it, pushing it into where the chain would be, is going to come apart, and then that's it. We're done. The engine has to come out, or the cover has to come off to put that back together. So what I'm going to try and do, if I can, is build a little sort of a thing off these valve cover bolts, a little plate that holds that and make sure it can't fall out. That's going to be the hardest part of this job, is playing around with that. If that comes out, we're done. If it doesn't come out and it can move a little bit so I can get the pin to thread back in it, then the head should be able to come off pretty easily. Let's go look on the stand engine and see what we see. All right, it's pretty damn convenient to have these stand engines just lying around where I can use them as demonstrators. Here we are on the driver's side, so not that one, but this is the one in question. So what we did is we took it off. You can see that this chain guide is here. You can see that that is the little screw I was telling you about there that's going to bolt to the head in this direction. And this is the chain guide. Now, as I'm feeling this, you can hear it compressing the chain guide, and it does not want to pop up. So maybe I'm worrying about nothing. But my theory, this one still has the front cover on it. My theory is that if there is oil pressure behind that, it's gonna pop up, and then that tensioner is gonna collapse. Right now, I'd have to have both hands to feel this, but it feels normal. And you can see there's one of two basically dowels that are here that are, that when the head comes in, it's got to come in and slide down. So this does need to move. I don't know. I guess I'm going to find out the hard way here in a little bit. If we go over here and look at the head, this is that head that I pulled off the engine. You can see here. Oh, that's heavy. Oh, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Now, I don't have access to a machine shop, and I'm doing this as an experiment. So all I did, I have a somewhat expensive flat ruler just to make sure that this head isn't warped. And as you look at the condition of this head, this actually came from a very low miles rebuild. So this head is being reconditioned. You can see here, this would be the bolt boss for that bolt in question. This would be the pin that guide rides on, which is set into the head. All right, it took about 5 minutes, but I cut a piece of scrap steel and I made a little plate. I just kind of eyeballed it, and I did some measurement. Let's go see how it fits. No matter what you do, it's one-handed. But you see how this plate, do not drop the bolt down into the engine, dumbass. You see how this plate should be about right. I may have to trim it down, because it's got to be over the edge. Or I could just do this with it. Another option. That's actually a transmission pan bolt, because most of the bolts are common. All it's got to do is provide a little bit of safety, just so that that can't pop up. Because I live in fear. I don't think it will, but how the fuck do I know? Never done this before. All right, now we're going to start tackling that Torx bolt. As I've threaded on my close-up lens, and I've kind of jammed a rag under the bolt, and I push it out of the way. The idea is that if it does fall, it's only going to fall so far. And then I have a bigger one of these, but I went out and picked up a small one. And the idea is I'd like to get the magnet on the head of the bolt as I take it out so it isn't going to fall in. Let's see if I'm successful. I have medium expectations. I suppose what I don't want to do is strip this bolt. That would be major suck. All right. She's in there. You seem the breaking free of it won't be too... Oh, it's stripping. You know what? I am going to give up on the rag just to break it loose. It's doing more harm than good. It's right at the height where I can't... I'm on my tiptoes. All right, she's all the way in. Let's not be scared. Let's not be sissies about this. Oh, who's your daddy? Come on, do not strip. Ha! Ha! Bitches. Okay, it has already overcome the drag back on the wrench. That's exciting. I think, I'm not certain, because I kind of can't feel it. But I think I'm spinning. Yeah. Okay. And the magnet is on the head of the bolt. You know, I've done some fucked up automotive shit, but this is up there. Okay, all right, it's definitely coming out. Oh, the moment of truth is coming. I can feel it. Come on, magnets, don't fail me now. Oh. Ooh. Ha 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 ha, you greasy little cocksucker. Yay. And a hearty hail Satan to us all. See what happens. There's a torque sequence that I could give you, but it's just a spiral is all it is. I'm an old man, you know. Wow. Guess that wasn't so bad. More meticulous man would number these head bolts. Oh, I can just arrange them on the bench in order. Alright, the head bolts are out. Alright, what I'm going to attempt to do, which is probably going to be the hard part, is I want to break it free. Which means I'm going to have to put enough force on it to get this these two RTV sections out, and I don't know, we're just going to see what happens. There are some pry spots. They're not perfect. This may take a little bit of beatings. Let's bust out the hammers, man. A little up force on it. See if we can get it to move. Against the other cylinder head. Oh, do you see that, kids? Goddamn right. Look, you want to see this? Look what I got going on here. Ooh. Whatever you do, don't do this. Holy fucking shit. I've forgotten bolts. God, you gotta be smarter. Time to go look at the other engine. I'm looking at this and I noticed that the motor mount bolt goes into the fucking head. How many bolts go into the head? Yeah, 1, 2. Jesus Christ, I'm dumb. I'm dumber than I look. All right, once I got all those bolts out of the front like a dumbass, I discovered this. Look at that. All right, kids, again, it's going to be noisy. I just got the cylinder head off. Let's take a look. You're seeing this for the first time with me. So as I look at this here, sure seems to me, got my head torch on here, do the best I can. That looks way too clean. This cylinder, which was one of the two that were misfiring, is way too clean. The guide here has popped up, and this came in handy because it's pretty solid. I'll have to play around with that. And you can see that it's not lined up. Maybe you can't. But the pinhole, which is here, that's going to be difficult. The head will have to go in and then push down. I don't know. I'll have to figure something out. As I'm looking down in here, that also, to me, I did wipe. I did put a paper towel down there just to get the coolant out, which came out from the water jackets. That looks pretty well washed to me, but I didn't wipe in there, is what I'm going for. Meanwhile, our non-misfiring cylinder looks uniformly carboned, which makes more sense to me. But these two seem washed. So, as I'm looking at this, I'm going to put my machinist rule on the head here, or on the block, to see if it's warped. I kind of don't think it will be. What I think happened, if we look over here on the head, this is as you would see it. There's your cylinder, would be 1 versus 2 versus 3. Slightly different, but not really definitive. And as I'm looking at what's left of the gasket, it's interesting that looks a little bit different. Left that plug in there. But as far as the chambers go, they should all look like this, because this thing's got hundreds of thousands of miles on it. See how clean that is right there? That tells me water was getting in there, and possibly water in there too. Now that's not definitive, but as I go over here, this is quite interesting. This is the top surface of the gasket. You can see that that's peeled up, but I see leakage there that I don't see there between 1 and 3. But if I flip this and well, here's where it would be important, because these are the water jackets. Again, not definitive. On the other side, though, this would be the side that's facing down. Again, I see that breach, but I kind of see it there too. But I see this breach here. I don't know. No way to know. Let me get my straight edge on it and we'll see what we learn. All right. Check out this bad boy. Expect I should maybe wipe that off. Right here. Ha ha ha! And that's on our bad cylinder. Check out this action, kids. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it. Whether you can see it or not, I can certainly see it. Holy shit. It's pretty warpy. It's warpy across the head. So in other words, it's only warpy from one corner to the other, but then it's really warpy. What that would be. Well, let's go measure the block. I'm sure the machinists who are watching are vomiting into their hats. All I care about is if this block is crazy warped, then I'm not going, then I know what's happening. Got our big manly tool. with the limited tools that I have, being almost an unlimited tool myself, I don't know what else one would do other than ascertain that the block is flat, the head is warped, the gasket is blown. We're going to put a new gasket on it and see if it fixes it. I mean, what the hell else are you going to do? Well, kids, it's your Kip from the future. The future. It's the day after Turkey Day. This was recorded a few days ago. And upcoming is the moment where it all falls apart. You'll see. Unfortunately, the close-up lens was on for most of it, so it's blurry and stupid. But basically, the whole damn thing failed. It just failed miserably. With the benefit of a couple of days of relaxation and turkey stuffing, I feel a little bit better about it. But you'll see the moment of failure. But the ultimate conclusion is that no, you cannot easily change the rear head and do a rear head gasket on a ProMaster because it's just too damn tight in there, and there's the fail point is coming. You'll see. I recorded as best I could, but I hate to disappoint. I hate to disappoint myself. I hate to be disappointed. What I really hate is just more uncompensated labor. All right, well, witness the misery coming your way. Well, kids, I got the close-up lens on, so you got to look at me close. I think it's official. I'm fucked. Failure. This van's going to need an engine. All right. So on this stand engine, this is the way this is supposed to work. That piston is sliding in and out of the tensioner like it's supposed to. Great. That's what it needs to do. And its height is about here, more or less. As you can see, in relationship to the boss that pin rides on. Over here, I was using my biscuit to clean the surface of the head, and I was touching the guide, and it gave a click, and it's rock solid. And I'm going to try and show this to you. I don't think I will be able to. That pin has come out of its little... I realize that this isn't going to work. Which I realize can't be fucking seen, because nothing can be seen. There it is. See that? Me neither. Okay. On the left side of the borescope, right in the center now. God damn it. There it is. There it was. Look, I give up. You're not going to be able to see it, but the problem is the piston of the tensioner has fallen out of the tensioner and is just hanging there. I might be able to try and get something under it and pull it back up into the bore, but if that piston isn't in the tensioner, the thing isn't going to work. You won't be able to get the chain to retract, so you won't be able to get, even if I put the head on it, it isn't going to work. So it's fail. Fuck. So that was a lot of days of arduous work for nothing. But it was a noble experiment. I'm going to have to throw an engine in this. Well, technically I don't. I have to take this engine out, and once it's on the stand, then I can take the front cover off. I can rebuild the tensioner or replace it or whatever. I can put another head on it and put it all back together. I'm not going to do that because why would I risk replacing a cylinder? Well, I mean, I guess I would. I would replace a cylinder head on a engine that's coming out. Once it comes out, there's a better way. That's just to replace the fucking engine, because the engines aren't very expensive. If you go to LKQ, you can buy an engine for pretty cheap. This engine right here, which I'm going to make the topic of another video, is 114,000 miles, and I got it for $100, and it's fully dressed. Fuck, such a waste of time. I have a bunch of other paying jobs that I have to get done, and instead, I'm just going to be doing this. But it was a noble experiment, I suppose. The other irony, while I'm closing this out of this massive failure, I hope you had a good Turkey Day. This video will come out on Sunday, and your bird will have happened the previous Thursday. Mine will. What's the takeaway? What's the important thing? is that no, I can't. Now, what I could try, I talked to a guy in Arizona, very knowledgeable guy, and he says he has several times changed the rear cylinder head by taking the front cover off with the engine in position. But as you can see, I've had to take the motor mount off just to get that last bolt out. And there's a jack under the engine holding it up, but to get the front cover off, I need to take the oil pan off anyway. So where's the jack going to be for that? Do I have to put the engine back in and blah, blah, blah? It all just gets fucking stupid. And because I've done engine swaps so many times, I could have this engine out in a day, and I could put another engine in half a day if I work my ass off at it. You just get good at these things, and I know all the bolts, and I know where it's going to be bitchy. The hardest part of the job is already done, which is getting the rear cat off. All the electronics are already basically off. It's just a matter of taking the front end apart, taking this out, hooking up a cherry picker, swinging. Oh, I guess, because I don't have a cylinder head, I'm going to have to think of something different to do with the cherry picker. Oh, and look at this. I didn't even see that. That's the dowel pin that would go right here. That would have been a problem. That would have been have to pound back in. So, fuck. So anyway, this is my lot in life. A lot of wasted effort, time, and missed opportunity to do the paint jobs that are piled up in the fucking parking lot. I'm not here to bitch, though. I'm a positive person with a positive outlook. Of all these goddamn ProMasters, it's enough to make you chew your own foot off. Well, all right. I guess you'll have to then see exciting things. Love you. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. And I'm, as you know, videos every Wednesday and Sunday. And sometimes we learn something, and sometimes we just watch me suffer. And that's always fun. And the Christmas special is going to be good. I got something good for you people. You monkey bastards. Love you. Mwah. Goodbye. My app, Promaster Phone App, custom Promaster